Okay, so my eyes are really swollen. 'Cause I cried all yesterday. I cried until I fell asleep last night, and then from crying so much, I had some kind of pain in my face I've never had before. I've never experienced anything like this, and so I haven't been able to sleep, and so it's I've been up all night and up all night in reflection. I'll talk about that. Um, but that will probably be more in depth. So I'll talk about the other stuff first. So I'll try and see if I can hit some of the stuff because everything is everything playing out. Like everything is everything being exposed. Everything is one that goes down and it takes down all the rest. We've had all this build up going, but now we're going to start seeing like if you think about like the dominoes falling, now we're going to start seeing these really big designs show up. Like we're going to see everything starting to come together. And so also what was supposed to be something about the 917 was something about the money. It is I don't even know because there's all these, oh, this is going to end at this time. This is all this stuff. So but I've seen a bunch of videos saying, okay, now this happened and whatever it is, the treasury lost it, whatever all this stuff is. And they said, now you're going to see Wall Street's about to crash. And so there's a bunch of people who are saying that, who are paying attention to that part. So we've got the money thing spinning out of control, and nobody's paying attention to that. We got so much stuff going on in the sky. It's just crazy. How many different videos and stuff. And now there's a bunch of faces in the sky. And what's weird is there's a guy who is saying that that's his face. He's like, he has been showing it. Well, I saw my face and I showed it. When I sent it to my daughter, she was like, yeah, that looks like you. And then I think Crystal looked at it too. It was like, man, that is my face. That is so weird. I have so many pictures where that is like, I've seen that face a million times in pictures. And so that was trippy with so now the one in Scotland, or a bunch of footage of the one in Scotland was supposed to be just incredible. And it was up on the mountains, whatever it's called, up on, like not on the moors, but whatever it is over there. I can't think what it is. King something keeps coming into my mind. Which also, there's a whole speculation of people saying that Donald is the true heir to the crown in Scotland, and that that's a whole part of this shifting in powers or something, because it goes way back, this stuff. Like these people, the crown and the church have been, collapsing villages and tribes and stuff, as fast as they can find them. So and it's so dark. Fuck, man. And there's another young black kid now. He's been found hanging from a tree. One was in North Carolina in Henderson, and now all the truckers are, nobody's going to go and take stuff there because the sheriff or whatever won't do anything. Now the new one's in Mississippi, and they hung him across the street from a black school. So, and it's just sad getting, because they try and make it look like it's like rednecks or something. No, I'm pretty sure they're brown-necks. They're just a part of the infiltration of to create civil war, and to bring up, it's crazy. It's almost like the people manifested it to play out like that, because there was so much about oppression, and there was such a huge focus on it in the past and what happened to them. So yeah, it's like they manifested it to play out. So it's there's a lot of stuff playing out. There's a lot, and there's what was that? I think there's more people. What was that I saw? Because it was like, oh, are people catching on now? This is realms and stuff. that this isn't just like, there's more and more stuff that just keeps coming and coming. And, you know, it's going to keep going in this certain direction. I can't remember. I can't see that clear. But but with the face, so this, in Scotland, the full moon thing, so people were out there getting the eclipse or whatever the hell was going on up there. Videos of that. When you zoom in, you see this face behind it sitting there looking. And so then in Mexico, I think in London, there's a bunch of places who have all gotten, they're all getting this face up there by the moon. And so it's not just in one country, and it's not just from one angle. It's and you know, and I don't know. I mean, the lights could all of a sudden come on, and these things are standing around us or something. There's all sorts of footage of people seeing stuff in the clouds now too, like villages up in the clouds, people walking in the clouds and stuff, because it's not really like the clouds; it's realms and stuff. You're seeing through your illusion, because the illusion has just been under mind control. Oh, this video too I just saw. What have I been saying for so long about aging? Well, I'm not going to say I've been saying it forever. I've been saying it since I figured it out. And how I figured it out, you know, with the help of my guides, was the minerals. And I, you know, I did a ton of detoxing. Like, I've been on this health journey for a long time. And it has been all steps and stuff. But once I got to the steps of the copper cup and the magnesium, and it all just fell in together. But once I started seeing the signs of aging reversing, it just clicked. And I had already gone through so much detox, and how my awareness of parasite and my medical and understanding and stuff like that. There was a lot of stuff. I was putting a lot of pieces together. And then I was like, you know, aging isn't real. Like, it's fucking made up. And then understanding about mind control and how reality is what you're told it is, and understanding this whole concept of, you know, where people are, we're going into our crystalline body. It's like, no, you're letting go of the body that you aren't. And so you're letting go of this concept of self that isn't true. And the more as humanity lets go of this concept of self, the more that we're going to see all these other realities and stuff around us. And because it's much different than what people think it is. And, you know, and I just feel like I'm one of the lucky people who have a knowing of this stuff and awareness. I've been in, you know, communication since I was a little kid. So I don't know. It's just like, I don't question a lot of stuff where people are like questioning and trying to figure it out. So like, I was like, I'm not there. I'm past that part. Like, that maybe it was like back in my 20s or something. So anyways, I can just see how some of this stuff works, and I just have an understanding of it. And then when I hear people trying to talk about it, you know, and they just start trying to guess and stuff, but anyways, so the whole concept is letting go of this concept of flesh and blood. So anyways, this new data or new information, because this is just one big leak after another, like all these people are stepping down. It's probably because they're stepping down in handcuffs. It is all these CEOs, like, it's a big, huge wave. Like 12 people or something stepped down on 23andMe. Oh, yeah, that's funny. So it is just giving me flashes of like them fucking getting people's DNA, selling it to the labs going and growing these people in labs, and then feeding them back to them. It's like, this place, man. You know, those people who are all a part of that system, because they are taking a payoff. And that's what's going to, you know, go down with Diddy and them, is like all these people who are willing to turn the other way in order to get a paycheck. And so it's and it will have to do with intentions and stuff, you know, like it will all fall together naturally. It's like because the universe is in charge. And, you know, where a lot of people want to be like God. Somebody asked me the other day if I believe in God. And it's like, I believe in this, the energy of God, but we are what creates that energy. We are what makes God what God is. And it's not as each and any of us is a singular God in itself, but when we all come together, we are God's creation. We are the creation of God itself. And then there is a lot of Glamham was, there's more on this subliminals thing, this fucking sphere thing. I knew that that thing was fucking shady. So there's more with that going on. There's more with this. She was showing something about that anomaly that was out by Mexico that looked like a Mandela or something. And she was showing how it looks like the Aztec calendar thing. And then, I don't know, there was more stuff on this video. But on the, oh yeah, because on the sphere, some of the things that they show are like mind-bending, kind of like Clockwork Orange shit or something. And so they have like, you know, like AI and stuff. I don't know how to explain it. Like on one of the videos, it's like it's like this giant person. The sphere is huge. You know, people are down here. It's this huge thing. So like my head, and then you guys are all down here, right? And so, it's on the sphere, and it's up there like knocking or something, and it hits or breaks it, and then it sticks out, and it looks around, and this is like a robot person. Then they have one of like Shiva, I think, is it with all of the arms and stuff, and this goddess, and then they have like these like deities and stuff, these like, and some ones that are like power hungry and stuff. But there's also some of these deities stories have to do with, you know, things turning around and consequences and choices. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff. That's why you don't want to get all caught up in this, like praying up to a deity and praying up to somebody outside of you. Like, I don't know. We'll watch how this whole Jesus thing and the religion and stuff plays out. Like all I see is dumpster fire, dumpster fire, dumpster fire, going, and it's gonna blow. It's just, I can just see it coming. There's just way too much stuff, and way too much information, and then plus I knew it was all fucking fake and control. So I don't know, you know, what all energy that they've been pulling in, because it is like really dark, and they think that they are all pulling in this light, and it's not. So, and then they, you know, these people will trick you, but it's the same thing with the aging. So now whatever has come out, that it was all mind control. Aging isn't real. And I wondered this too, because when I was a kid, I would ask my mom, because I knew about the people in the Bible, because my mom was religious. I knew people lived to be like 800 years old and stuff. And, well, we went to Sunday school and stuff like that. I don't know when I knew it, but I knew that people lived to be like 800. And so I was like, well, what happened then? Why don't we live that long anymore? And then there's always like, well, you know, blah, 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 blah. Same thing as like how people were, you know, had more sophisticated tools and were smarter and able to do more stuff that we can't do now. It's like they're always just coming up with, there's a narrative, a script. And so there's just, you know, like this, it doesn't make sense. And so so I knew that people lived a long time, and it didn't make sense to me why people were dying. But you know, you get caught up in living, and you don't continue thinking about that all the time. But the question was already there. So then when the information started coming, it was like going into, you know, like what you need to know, you're going to know when you need to know it. And so like I didn't need to know it way back. But now when people started getting so sick, all this stuff started happening, then there was certain things that, you know, had to come into awareness, and then certain things that was like, you know, as part of my role is to talk about or something. Like there's a reason why I had like these understandings that I have. And if I kept them secret and hidden, that would be me trying to hide myself. That's something from past lives. That's something like where, a witch would have powers and she would have to stay hidden because she had to fear death and stuff. So this is, that's why it's a part of the chakra, part of all of this life journey and what you are here to do and stuff, and why, your guides will push you to follow the certain things. Like, you don't have to force things, your guides will force you. Like, they will push you. And that's when, near misses and stuff happen, is when you're going off in the wrong direction. And so, yeah, they'll push you back on track. And that's a whole fucking huge thing. It's at all different levels of where you are and how far you have to be pushed. So, and how far you've gone off and how far you've gone out there. And so anyways, but that is, with aging now, it has come out like aging isn't real. I knew it wasn't. And that, we can live to be like 800, like this is what's going to go on. The only thing is because aging is this mind control, and it is this surrender. It's this like giving up on yourself. It's like, think about all these different people, who are 30. Well, I'm getting old. Well, I'm getting sick in the middle. Well, and all that stuff. And it's just like, well, they just don't care. They give up. It's too hard. I don't have time for this. I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to take care of myself. And so then everybody gets to see the repercussions of that. So those kinds of things are going to be showing the other side of that. And that's where, a lot of people are going to have a hard time overcoming it. Because a lot of people have gotten themselves in, like your muscles start to atrophy. And it's funny because it's not real. And you can build back up. You just got to start. And you just stay consistent. And you just don't ever stop again. And then, but there's going to be people, because it's hard. And then there's just like, it's been a part of our society to go with what's easy. Even that's what they try and tell you. Work smarter, work easier, make everything simple. Rely on AI and stuff. They want us to just, be simple creatures. And then they just want to suck our energy out of us, making us run on the hamster wheel faster and faster and faster in order to have basic necessities. So so anyways, that's a part of their whole thing, the whole rigmarole of bullshit here in their mind control. And then they also wanted us to age faster so we wouldn't catch on, and want us to wake up and catch on and stuff. And they had to come up with diagnoses, because even as people get older and they have time to themselves, they start becoming a lot closer to the Lord and thinking things through and stuff like that. I think that's why they want to keep them stressed out, broke, and on the verge of death all the time. Want to lock them off in like these facilities and let them rot away and stuff, because they don't want humans to wake up. And they don't want us to listen to the people that do. And so they're trying to take, God away from us. And if they take God away from you, what are you? You are a part of what makes God. So you see the attack is on God through you. To destroy you destroys God. And so is and that's why, you're a warrior when you fight back against what they're doing. But you have to realize that on a spiritual battlefield of who and what it is you're fighting for. It's like fighting for the light, because it's out of balance, because there's too much dark. And it is like, that's a no-brainer. Like, if you can't look around this world and go like, fuck and hell, there's a lot of dark. Like, I can't even believe the horrific stories that just keep coming out and coming out. Like, Jesus Christ, who knew that there could be so much evil going on behind closed doors? So many kids growing up with no capabilities of being able to take care of anybody or anything. Another one of these young girls, let's see, the one who gave her kept 15 drug. This one, she was 1 year old, and she was covered with bruises, old broken healed bones and stuff like that. The only thing that was in her stomach, the only thing she had been living off of was plastic and feces. She was real skinny and stuff, so she died. And the mom died too, because in jail, uh, somebody got to her, and that was the end of her. There's gonna be more of that too. It's just like, people are just, sick of it. They're sick of it. And the judicial, like, they're about to be putting that guy to death who, they've already been proven that he didn't even commit the crime. And the governor's not stopping. I think that is Missouri. He's supposed to be scheduled for a couple more days. I think he's like 4 or 5 more days. I can share I don't know how many signatures. When I signed the petition, it was like almost 28,000 signatures. I don't know how many they need. And when I tried to call the governor's office, the line, of course, was full. Every time you try and call on any of these things, they just let the line fill up. So then you can't leave a message. And then you have to just keep calling and calling until you can get through. And then once you get through, it's just to say, make this governor call a stay on this execution. This is ridiculous. Fucking corruption. It's like disgusting. There's so much fucking corruption. So yeah, anybody who's gonna try and say that there's not we're heavy in the dark, like, then you are blinded by the dark. And you need to get some light, because this is crazy. And so that and the dark hides so much. It hides that we're in these realms. It hides that we don't age. It hides that that you aren't flesh and blood. All these things that they tell you that you are, just like they told us we were spinning in space, and we had guys going out to the moon, and all the stuff that they were telling us was all just a bunch of big made up stories. And it just keeps going. The lies on our history, the lies of what we are, who we are, what we're doing here, and everything. They know. They just wanted to trick us so that they could. I don't know. Their whole thing just seems to be to want to destroy the light, to just be all dark. And so it's like there's a spiritual battle that always goes. Just like here, how, there's always a weather system. So there's always like this battle somewhere between the light and the dark. The cohesiveness where the battle ends is where the river becomes still, is more into the heavens. It's a frequency thing, because there isn't any rippling of the frequency of the tension that builds between the two systems. That's in the lower vibration. And this, where we are, is this shifting time. So the lower vibration it's like it's creating an explosion, micro, macro, because look what's going on over there in Lebanon and what just happened over in Russia. So it's going to be like, well, they blew us. And I'll tell you, as soon as they did the first one over there, I was like, fuck, man, I'm going to be putting my phone down somewhere else. Like, they're going to start blowing fucking phones up. And because these were pagers, but now it's walkie-talkies. But to me, that's what the whole thing is this disclosing of technology. And because that is what people keep talking about and stuff. Like, it's really got people freaked out. And there is a lot of people now who are just like, man, I feel like I got to be putting my phone down. It's like, yeah, that's a part of the universe getting you to realize, like, it is a weapon, as a matter of fact. And so that's all seems to be leading to something. The money thing seems to be leading all these arrests, all these people are being taken down. All these things are all leading to something. It's all going into this climatic moment. And then, there's all these the earthquakes and stuff. There was an earthquake in Kansas. This is like the earth is rumbling under us. And I swear to God, I can feel it all the time. I can feel it. I keep hearing noises and stuff, hearing sounds where it's just like, man, everything is so unsettled. Everything is just rumbling. Everything is just in this, It's like, when you're making candy and it has to do this hard boil, but you can only have it boil so much or it gets too hard. And so it's, it's like we're in this boiling, but what comes from it is something very tasty. So is all of this tension, is this boiling of this, of the information, and there's so much information coming out, and so it's a lot for a lot of people, but it's going to be hitting hard, 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 fast, 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 fast. And that's what's going to, spin a lot of people's heads around. And then there's going to be more and more of this scary stuff too that's going to keep happening, and more things up in the sky, more ships, more faces, more things out in the mountains, more supernatural stuff being accepted as like, oh, because now you have this, yeah, Bigfoot's real, he was just seen, like, oh, it's just this huge difference. As I'm telling you, if you were one of the people who was going around saying Bigfoot's real and ghosts are real and all that stuff, you were so laughed at. You were so made fun of. People thought we were so stupid. And now it's all, that stuff is all being shown. Yeah, it was real. Well, you guys were the ones stupid. It's just because it's like their mind couldn't accept things that they couldn't see. It's like part of the mind control to very limiting way of keeping people's minds very boxed in. And I think it's the constant stress and tension and having to run around and keep up with everything is a part of it too. Because that seems to be the thing that holds people back in their awakening, is like, well, I got to get to work. I got things to do. I don't have time to sit, And that's why I was saying, like, as people get older and retire, and because it kind of like backfired on them, to get people to be sick and think that they're old and stuff. And then so then they have all these old people. It's like, look, man, we got to kill them a little quicker. And so, but they didn't want us to, they want those people to wake us up. And because once you have more time to yourself, you have nothing to do but reflect. And so it's time, and that's why, some old people just get more bitter and more angry. Like, I just saw this video. There's a lot of crazy videos, man. And this girl, I don't know what her whole story is, but she's lost her daughter for some reason, because there's so much stuff going on right now showing the judicial. There's a lot of this playing out where the system is taking people's kids and cutting them, like all sorts of weird shit going on. And in hers, they gave her daughter to her parents. And so she shows up at the parents' house and knocks on the door. And she said her dad comes to the door with his arms crossed and just looks at her and goes, "What do you want?" And she said, "I want to see my daughter." And he said, "You can't be here." And just the whole thing when she was expressing it, it was like I could see that it's like the dad could then, once the court says she's crazy, your daughter's got the problems, then the dad could go back and excuse all his behaviors because it's her. So anything that he did when she was growing up, he doesn't have to take any responsibility for that. And he obviously, has an attitude, like, to come to the door when you haven't seen your daughter and you know that all this is going on, and to not have any compassion or anything like that. And I know that, the courts can zoom in and take the kid from them and say, you're not protecting them, you let her see and stuff. And he could be angry at her over that, because a lot of people are angry at people over things that they don't really talk about. And a lot of kids grow up and they're resentful of their parents because there's a thing of feeling like, your life would be better if your parents wouldn't have been so shitty. But that's not true. It's like that is the hand you were dealt. It was meant to be that way, to see what you can overcome. It's not, so that it's like, poor me, I had bad parents. It's like, why do you think so many of us had bad parents? And then we end up being called bad parents by our kids. is because it's a part of the learning. It's a part of what we're here to experience and learn and grow from. And there's a whole bunch of different parts to it. And so it's not, it's, I don't know, it's that, like that. There's a lot of different ways that that thing could play out. But I just felt like the dad has now decided that his daughter's the one with the problems. And so it's kind of like the person, once they get labeled as the problem person, everything gets scapegoated. Like nobody else has bad behavior. Everybody else, they're doing fine. It's you. Well, I should be able to scream and yell. I should be able to call you name. I should be able to do this stuff. Like it's like it's just like a whole thing. And it was just so clear when I saw her video. And it made me feel sad. But these are all these different people's souls, stories, and stuff that they have to work out. Like, there's no fucking way that you can go around and save the world. Even, even when you want to go in and save all the dogs. Like, one of the things now where they're talking about that one rescue lady, it was somebody who I liked. It was somebody who I followed. I'm going to have to get my water. Hold on. And now she is, now there's all this dirt coming out on her. And it was like, oh my gosh. And there is something about those, what did they call it? These girls that were saying something about making money off a rescue. It's called something where they get these dogs and just sell them. It's like I can just see this stuff before. I just can see it when something, it's weird. And that is one thing that I have definitely been experiencing, is going through that, is seeing like the things, are true and real, like these visions and stuff. So the dog thing just continues to blow up, and more people being called out, more of the shady practices being shown. Oh, there was another thing where I was like, oh, I knew it. I knew this all stems from the more elite kind of dog shows and stuff like that. Like this pedigree breeding. That is where all of this shady shit started, I swear to God. And then it just rippled out. And it just gets more and more skeezy the less money people have. So, anyways, there's just, this whole thing is all stuff that has to just break apart of our society. It all has to come to the surface. And everybody has to start realizing their own shady practices add on to what goes on here. It's like it's like a ripple effect. If everybody is sitting here doing shady shit, look at how it is that what the world turns into. People have to have integrity, and it comes from within. And let me see. Was there something else? It seems like there's something else like that I was gonna say about. I don't know, maybe I'll think about it, but speaking of the integrity and the crying and stuff, so I'll go into my personal stuff now, because, oh my God, I was really, really going through it. So like I said the other day, I didn't know why Dicky had come into my mind. And, but, he has been such a part of my life since I was 17 when I fell for the guy. And it was right before I turned 18. It was right when I was getting out of high school. And I turned 18 in July. I would get out of school in June. So I wasn't 18 yet. And but I had started going to bars, because back then the drinking age was 18. And you could go to bars and stuff when you were 18. And I had a friend who had an older sister. And so I had a fake ID, and we all went to the bar. And that is when I met him, and I was hooked, man. I was hooked on the whole scene, the whole everything. And it was really weird too, because then I was still in school, and I was like embarrassing. Like, I didn't want anybody to know I went to a bar. So like back then the attitude was like, ooh, gross, kind of, like, man, that's so weird. It was just, so it was like embarrassing. And it was like people started finding out, I think, because I talked about him so much. I was so hooked on him. And anybody who ever talked to me for years with Dicky Ferguson, Dicky Ferguson, Dicky, 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 oh, Dicky, 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 everything. Like I was obsessed. And through, even as time went on, that was my starting point. So every guy was compared to him. Nobody was compared to him. Nobody was as good as him to me. And that went on, and I was trying to think about that yesterday. I was trying to think, when did that stop? Because I don't think there's ever been, I mean, there could have been like a couple days or something went by that I didn't think of him, but definitely not a long period of time. Like he's been in my thoughts for my whole, since all the way since I met him. He's just like been a part of me. It's weird because I didn't even think about all this stuff, and whatever it was that triggered this thing I'm thinking about, and this is all done on purpose. This is a thing. It is like, this is stuff like where you find your triggers, and it leads to this purging out of all of these remembering and all of this side of yourself, and looking at yourself and seeing these things and realizing these parts of you and stuff. And I did not see this coming at all. At all. And like there's so much stuff. It's so weird because you'll think you've healed so many of these things, and you think like, oh, that doesn't bother me. And then something happens, and it's like, oh fuck. Like, oh my God. Just like when I went to the doctor who ended up doing my surgery. But when I went at first, because I was so sure, this was guy was going to do it. I was led to it. I was shown this was the name to call. And then they told me who to see. Like the whole thing fell in place where I was like, this is the guy. And then they had told me, he would think about it. But when I left, I was just irate. I was so mad at myself for getting myself into this position. And so I had to process through that stuff still. And then the next morning when he called, it was like such a relief. But if he would have told me right then, I wouldn't have been able to purge all that out. So see how it all works like that? It's supposed to go the way it goes. And so I can only remember what it was that led me to think it was some stuff that came on my mind or something. I don't know. Because it had Paul and my relationships, which I know that is a big part of my my life journey, because I was like a relationship junkie. It was a huge part of my journey. I mean, it is so dysfunctional. That's what I've been really processing. Like, fuck, man, it's wild. So I was whatever it was, I don't remember. The other day, I said that a song had come on, and I was up and dancing around and stuff, but a song had come on that Dicky used to sing, and I was sitting on the couch, but it was like he was on the TV taunting me to come and dance or something. It was weird. And so I was like, okay. So I came out and I started dancing, and it was like I was transported back to this time period. And it was like, it was me. Oh, it's going to make me feel emotional. Ah, it's weird. And I don't want to start crying again. Fuck, my face hurts. So I was, it was like I was transported back to this time, and dancing, and him being right there. And, this like interaction thing. And it felt so close, like he felt so close and so real. So he was really, really heavy on my mind. And so then it was, whatever the things I said, I think I said some stuff yesterday that had been coming to my mind. But then so much stuff was on my mind. And I was like, I was going to try and look him up, see if I can figure out, like, find out what happened to him, where he's at, what's going on with him. And so I Googled, and I was looking, and it's weird because I had done this a long while ago. I don't remember when. I would say probably 15 years ago. I don't know. I mean, it's because it's like he's never left. He's been a part of me ever since I met him. And that's this soul connection. Like, that's an entanglement. And so he he had been, so much a part of me. But when I had looked him up before, I couldn't find anything. I think that's when I was on Facebook. And I think I was trying to look, and I was like, man, it's impossible to try and, like, how are these people finding old friends and stuff? Because I tried to look up a few people, and I was like, fuck, I can't find anybody. It's like it pops up with all these people with the same names. I was like, man. And then I was like, well, he may not even be on social media, or, I mean, and then it was kind of more fresher and new. Not everybody was doing it. And so then I was like, man, I don't know. So I just kind of let it go. But so yesterday, then I Googled him, and then a couple things popped up. And so one of them popped up, and it was a Facebook page. And so then I went to the Facebook page, and it said, in memory of Dicky Ferguson. And so then I knew he wasn't here anymore, but I didn't know what happened. And so I was looking through all these pictures and stuff. It was like, it was memories of going and looking, and all this stuff of him playing, and all these. He was so funny. He was such a character. He was so silly. That's like what, when he would go and be dancing, he would interact with you. And so he was just like, I don't know, he was a very special person. And then, this is going to make me so emotional again. And, but then, I was having to replay all these different things about mine and his relationship. And then it was, he's been here too. And it's weird because his energy is so like, it's like his face is just like right there. Just like how it was like he was there the other day. And I think we have our soul connections are so much deeper than we understand, is the only thing I could say about it. And so so I was looking through trying to find stuff, and I knew he had died, but I didn't know, what the deal was. I saw I kept looking and looking and looking, and then I saw that he had died in 2009. 2009 is when I got my brain injury. I got my brain injury. I got out of the hospital on Valentine's Day in 2009, and he died 11/27 or 11/28 or something in 09. So he died at the end of November in 09. I was like, that tripped me out. Like that was like the year that it was like the old Kelly died. I don't know, it's weird. Like, there's weird shit. Like, sometimes when you see these weird kind of synchronicities. I saw he was born in 1954. And so he was like about 7 years older than me. I was born in 61, and he was born in 54. And so I was 17 when I met him. And but it was at the bar, so he would have, figured I was legal age, I think. I don't know. I mean, there was so many girls all the time throwing themselves at him. That was one thing too, is when I was reading some of this stuff, like on the, I found his obituary, and in the obituary, I had a part down at the bottom where all these people left comments, and there were so many, girls like, he wrote me a note in the 2nd grade and asked me if I liked him, yes or no. And that just really hit me, because I was like, that's what he did to me. He didn't write me a note, but that's what he kept doing to me. And I could see these broken parts of each of us. And I know I wasn't supposed to end up being that way. I mean, things were just getting started in my life. It's not where we're supposed to stop. Then when you look at it, the woulda, shoulda, coulda things, Because those are the things that, you know, we can learn from. Of like, man, you start looking at yourself, well, what if I would have done that? What if I would have, you know, been honest? What if we would have said, like, you know, do you like me? And I would have been honest. And then, because, you know, at the time when I'm feeling so insecure, I'm not thinking about how I'm coming across. You know, like I'm just one of the groupies out there. I'm just going out and sleeping with all these different guys. It's like, no, he was the only person for me for years. And, but I wouldn't tell him. And he would ask me. And then when I was reading these girls' things, and I was like, that, you know, that was like what he needed. But I needed him to choose me and to, man, it's so weird because I did not know. Yesterday when I found out that he died, I didn't know it was going to hit me so hard. And I was like, fuck, I could not quit crying. I was bawling my head off, and for hours and hours and hours. And I talked to my sister some and stuff. And it just was trippy too, is for me to be like this part of your life, but to affect this whole part of your life. And in the stuff, when I was looking at, I was seeing, you know, my own insecurities. And what gets so strange and more complicated is like, and I feel like he was, you know, he called that night, the night before I got married. I feel so sure that he was the call. I always have felt like he was the call. And in the, you know, when I said that the other Kelly, who, it was funny too, because I was like I said, I was a lot more like a punky looking. I was a lot more like, I don't know. My hair was wild, and I dressed. I was very. You know, I was different, and the other Kelly came in, and she had really long hair, and she was like this purity or something. Like she was, you know, she hadn't been going out to the bars yet. Like once he became popular, it was like all of a sudden there was all these girls that I knew from high school that were coming in sleeping with them. And it was breaking my heart. But it was like, you know, I wanted him to choose me, but I kept taking it really personal, but I wouldn't choose him. So him and I, it was the same thing. Like with Jack Buble, it was like this thing that played out, you know, like nobody's going to say. We're just going to sit back. And so, and then it bites you. And so, and the other thing with Kelly too is like she would always come out dancing, and he kind of was like Bruce Springsteen or something, kind of like that. And so she would come out with these white pants and this white shirt, like she was like this angel, pure angel coming out. So she was the other Kelly though, and she did push her. She was very confident and knew what she wanted, and so yeah, she got him. I don't know for how long, but I did see in the thing she ended up being Kelly Ferguson. So she ended up, and then I was like, that's not, I mean, that wouldn't have been the life I would have wanted, you know, at 17, to end up being, to never leave Dallas, to stay there. And, you know, I loved him deeply, to a point where I couldn't understand how much I loved him, how much he affected me. And the point where it's like, why won't I tell him, even to go get married to somebody else when you love somebody else? Like, how does that make sense? And then marrying these people and constantly comparing them to him, like they all had to hear me say his name. Like, I know they, you know, I mean, maybe they don't remember or something, As I was thinking, the one I was married to for a long time, he had to hear me say his name. Because it was, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. It's very strange all of a sudden when I start realizing it and I look back and I start seeing, oh, and I started crying so much and it was like, fuck, I had no idea how much he had really impacted me and how much it was hurting me now to not be able to say to him, even though that he was right here with me. It was like he was right here with me to go through me finding out that he was gone and how painful it was to me. And um and it was like, I don't know, to never get to tell him that I loved him. It's weird. It's weird love has been how love has been, because when I look at it, like, yeah, he was my match then, but we matched on this toxic thing. But it did set my whole life into motion of not choosing love. Because, I mean, you woulda, shoulda, coulda, but I feel like that if I would have gone in this other direction, that I would have been the Kelly Ferguson. I would have been, because we had like a bond. Like, we had a strong bond before all those girls were coming. And I have been around for a long while. And I had gone through trying to think when it's hard for me to see when all of the different things happened. But he is why I left and went to London. It was like I was so obsessed. I was so, like, it was driving me insane. I had to get away from him. And so I decided I was going to leave and go to London. And then I ended up coming back. And then right away is when I met the other guy, number one. And he was pursuing me so hard. And then, but I could see, like, I don't know. There was a very intrigued by Dicky, but I can see his insecurities. And I can see, like, because if a guy has just girls throwing themselves at him, and he doesn't have to really work at it and stuff, and then all of a sudden this girl's not throwing herself at you, then it's like, well, I don't know, she probably doesn't even really like me. And so you can see how that becomes like a toxic kind of thing. It puts things out of balance. So he didn't even have to see his own insecurities, that he needed, this 17, 18-year-old girl to be the one to profess her love to him. And it was like he couldn't see the signs or something. The signs were all around him. Like, fuck, I made my life his life. I went, I don't even remember. Like, I already knew him from when I had very started going. I met him, I don't know how, I can't remember all the things. But I found out, he was married. He had just gotten married, I think within a year or something. That didn't stop me. And so I still, but I wasn't like a forceful person. I wasn't like throwing myself at him or anything. I'd just go and be friendly and dance and stuff. So it wasn't, wasn't one of those girls who goes and like shows up naked at your house or something. But I started being around a lot. And so he lived in Fort Worth. I lived in Dallas. And I found out where he lived and what apartments or something. So I moved into his apartments. And I think I pretended like it was all by accident. I'm like, surprise, look, we live in the same place. Isn't that crazy? and he was older. It was like, dude, can't you see? Like, I'm obsessed with you. And I moved into your apartments. And I got a job at one of the bars where he worked. And it was at Spencer's Corner. So I was reliving that yesterday, all these different pictures and people saying things. And it was at Spencer's Corners when his brother died. 'cause his brother worked there, and Ricky and Donna were in their apartment, and their apartment caught on fire. And then they went into the bathroom to, they thought that that would be where they could stay alive until the fire was put out, but they died. And so both of them died at the same time. So it was a really big tragedy. It was really sad. It was Dicky's brother, and it was this horrific thing and stuff. And so then we, but whatever, at some point, yeah, we started seeing each other, and Donna found out and left him. And so, but I think, he was somebody who wanted to be in a relationship, because, he was married to her. Then, I wouldn't say any. It was so weird when I sit here and look back at it. It's like, God, I was like paralyzed with like the fear of rejection. It was like paralyzing to me. And but that, was the start of my journey of learning what love is and what love isn't. And and it's not, the story's not complete yet. That's the thing, is it's not to the end of the story. And what's weird too, this is just weird, something too, like another one of these weird synchronicity kind of things of like him dying the same year. And one of the things I was reading, it said that somebody did answer, because I did write some questions. And then somebody did answer me last night on YouTube, because he's on YouTube videos too. And then it said, they said that now all of the guys, so the guy who was doing the Facebook page, he died too. And she said the were they the Valentinos or the Vandals? Like, I don't remember. Or was it like both of those band. But he was in a bunch of different bands. He stayed doing music, but the first band, I think, was his high school band. These guys were guys from his school. The one who started the memory page, they were his friends, because he was friends with him for 38 years. And but he died now. So this person in the comments said that they're all dead now. They're all up in heaven playing music together. And when I was looking in there, that's where I saw Mike, his friend for 38 years. I put a picture of the two of them celebrating Dicky's 50th birthday, and they were like sitting in a restaurant. The only thing that looked different on Dicky was like his hair had been receding some, because he had like this hair, and he had like long shaggy kind of hair. He was very, very cute. And so his hair had receded, but he still had the same just sparkling eyes, sweet smile. And all the comments, everybody, like, he always stayed the same, of being just the most sweetest, nicest guy, very caring, compassionate, deep person. So in that picture that said, this was our last picture on his 50th birthday, and his health just deteriorated. His health just deteriorated from the time he was 50 to 55. He died when he was 55. I was like, fuck, that is, oh my gosh, that is just so crazy. It's so crazy he's been gone that long. He's never left my heart. I got out my album yesterday and was looking at pictures of him and stuff, bawling my head off. And reliving my own stupid stuff, but knowing that I wasn't supposed to stop there. I wasn't supposed to be the Kelly Ferguson. It was supposed to be how it is. It was supposed to be just how it was. And it's, the impact he had on my life was so huge. But the other weird thing was, he had dark hair and dark eyes. Paul had dark hair and dark eyes. And the person, I have a thing for dark hair and dark eyes. But the person who I believe to be my person, or I've been shown that it is my person. I didn't just come up with it out of the blue. It's like I've been shown over and over, and this person's come in my dreams and stuff. I'm not just like, you know, because I'm not crazy. Totally a cough attack. Hold on. Has dark hair and dark eyes. And I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of strange, but when we are all like connected and having the same energy, I was like, does this energy come into your life at a certain point, and then it bounces in and out of your life until you get to the part where you're ready for it? I don't know. I don't know. It's just, there's been so much of this on my mind, so much of these pieces where I was like, man, I did not see this coming. And I'm sure like I needed to heal this. Like, you know, I needed to understand myself. I needed to let go of, you know, like my own bad choices. And I know like I wasn't supposed to, you know, I wasn't supposed to, like, for him and for me, you know, and all the people that I met since him, all the experiences that I had since him. And if I would have stayed back there and, you know, been like, you know, I love you, I'm fucking so dedicated to you, you have no idea. And everybody else knows. You can't talk to me without, you know, me talking about Dicky all the fucking time. I drove people crazy. And what was crazy was then where, like, I would have friends who knew how obsessed I was with him, and they would go sleep with him, which I'm assuming they did. You know, I don't know who all he slept with out of all these different people. It was, like I said, girls were just throwing themselves at him all the fucking time. And, uh, he was like the front man of the band too, and he was just so full of personality. He was really cute, he was really talented. So yeah, I had tons of girls throwing themselves, but it was weird, like when you could be so obsessed with somebody. Is there was this one time, because we were over at, because at this apartment he lived at with Scott and Mike. And Mike, a different Mike, he was the hairdresser one who was with Donna, the girl I went to hair school with. And Scott was a friend of mine. And I think, I don't know, Scott liked me. And like he liked me. And but I wouldn't, and Scott was like, Scott was like beautiful. Like he was, oh my God, he was so beautiful. So, you know, that people thought I was so crazy. You know, what is your obsession with Dicky? He's just sleeping around with all these girls. And, you know, I mean, Scott really likes you. Even when he came to my birthday, because I feel like Scott kind of, like Scott liking me made Dicky seem more like, I don't know. Dicky was the one who told me that I was so, what did he say? He didn't say magnetic, not alluring. He said attractive. And at the time, I was like, oh, is that just a nice way of saying I'm ugly? Like I couldn't understand it. And then it was a few years ago, all of a sudden I was like, oh, I know what he meant now. I was so attractive. He was so attracted to me, and he couldn't figure out like what, you know, he was just so attracted to me. It was because it was a soul attraction, because this was, you know, we were connected in our soul. Like this journey was gonna start. Like he was gonna be my starting point. And, but at this apartment, and like when we were all be out at night. So I don't even remember, like if we were all out at night, and, or if we went in, and everybody was in the living room and people started falling asleep or something, and people went into their rooms and stuff, because Scott had a bedroom, Mike had a bedroom, no, Mark, his name was Mark, and he had a bedroom, and then him and Donna went in their room, and Dicky was in his room. But I swear, I think Dicky was in his room before we got there or something. I don't remember. But I was asleep on the couch in the morning. When I woke up, I was asleep on the couch. And when And then my best friend, my roommate, comes sneaking out of his bedroom. I was in, we didn't stay roommates after that. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how many of my girlfriends, but I think I did that same thing back to some other girl. I think there's girls that definitely be like, I can't believe you slept with them. I think that's part of like, you know, young lady kind of drama or something. But Pam, was a lot older than me too. There's a lot of these girls that were older than me. Like, I think she was a waitress. I think she was a groupie. There was a lot of groupies back then when there was bands playing all the time. Like now it's DJs and stuff. I don't know. DJs probably have groupies too. But back then when there was bands playing, and sometimes you go to some clubs and it'd be 2 or 3 bands playing, or all sorts of girls. And the girls were a part of the show, really. Like when we were out there dancing, like that's what drew the other people out dancing. And we would all go out and dance because like we knew the songs, we loved the music. That's why we're there, is because we love the music. And we're all there dancing. And so that makes it so like a part of their show. So that's like where they, they'll interact with you and stuff like that. And so you become a part of the whole scene. And so, but some of the girls, they would just go and sleep with whoever. And some of the girls would go up and they'd start going with, they were getting backstage in concerts. And it would be kind of like they would know like certain ways to act, certain things to say, certain ways to dress. And so it was like being professionals at the scene. And like I could go, I've talked, I've been around lots of bands and stuff like that. I just wasn't in it for going and, sleeping with roadie. Well, all the way back when there was a roadie who used my ignorance, but that was like way, way back. That was the very, very beginning. There was a guy who I liked before, Dicky, and I had seen him first. And then this whole weird thing happened. But so then it was later when I went and then started seeing Dicky, and then I became like friends with them, friends with all the people. It was like a big group. And but I would always leave because I had other friends outside of that group. And that was my friends that were the punk rock clubs. So I would not always be with this friend group. I would disappear. And I think that's where he became like, where's she going? What is she doing? Who's she with? Does she even really like me? I think it was kind of like that. Like he was insecure. I was insecure. So it was like, but it was supposed to be that way because I was supposed to go out and learn from all these different people and see myself through it. And then really seeing myself of like, oh my God, how could I be so much in love with this person and still go marry these other people and keep comparing them to him? But I thought I was rejected by him. But I wasn't taking my own role, my own responsibility. I wasn't seeing through his perspective. I think that's kind of like what the life review is about. Like there's a lot of things that feel like I'm doing life review stuff. Like I'm looking back over things, even when he's there, going back over it with me. And I would look at something and see something, and then I would get, like, oh, but look at this, but think of this, but, you know. So, it was a lot of processing through like hard stuff, man, stuff I did not see coming, and all the way from being so young, and them being so insecure. It's so weird too, is like, it was making me think about this too, because like I had said, people were constantly telling me, you look just like Bo Derek, you look like Bo Derek, you look like Bo Derek, all fucking day, every day. It really did drive me crazy. It drove me fucking crazy to the point where somebody would come up and be just like, ah. It was like, oh, I look like Bo Derek. I'm like, God damn. And so, and then there would be pictures of her. And so I would take my face and her face, and I would like bend the pictures in half, and I would try and match. And I had come to this realization. I was sure that, okay, maybe I look like Rebecca. Probably it's because I look like her ugly sister or something. Like I could not see it all. I was so insecure. I always thought I looked so fucking weird. I thought I had the weirdest looking face. I was so insecure. And so, of course, of course he's going to pick that other Kelly. Like, she's long hair. She's so pretty. She wears white. Like, fuck, I put on white. You see me in white, just look for the stains because I am covered with stains. I am, I don't know. I'm kind of a spazzy, klutzy kind of person. I don't know. So, anyways, um, but anyways, I don't feel like the story is over yet. I feel like all these things are leading up to me healing all these different parts of myself, because if you keep the broken parts, you're still up for the broken people. You can't have broken parts to go in, like what I was saying about where people, like before, we've adapted to this, like, well, we get somebody who's compatible with us or something, where people aren't even giving people compatible. They think they're compatible because they look like my taste. Yeah, I get attracted. They look good. So, we must be compatible. People are so off on things, but these people are like, well, they fill in my parts that I'm not good at, and I fill in their parts and stuff, which creates a codependency, which it keeps you from being whole when you depend on somebody else to fill in the other parts. But there also becomes, as resentments build and toxic builds in relationships, it becomes a push and pull over who's right and who's wrong. We're going to do it this way. No, we're going to do it that way. And so it becomes a battleground in a relationship. So, to me, being on a same vibration, being on the same level and being whole. So when you are not needing someone else to fill you up, you feel good about yourself, you have a level head, you know how to walk yourself through, crying all day or whatever, like you are able to manage yourself, then and you find yourself whole, you can face these dark sides of yourself and not, go slit your wrist or whatever you're going to do. You can, cry it out and face it. And it can be confusing. And this has been painful. Like, I don't understand, because at one point then I was like, okay, I got to let go of this pain. And I was trying to go into a meditation to let go of the pain, because pain's not real. It's a part of the thing. But the thing is that pain's also there to show us and teach us things. And so when I tried to do that, it flared like, okay, so I'm supposed to be learning something from this. I'm supposed to be releasing something with this. But I never had something like this happen from crying. And it is like this whole part from all the way around here is like super dry inside. It's like there's acid. It's like somebody went into a dry cave and sprayed it down with acid all through my sinuses and stuff. I couldn't even sleep. There was so much pain in my face. I was up smoking all night. I was like, what in the hell? Nothing is making this go away. It is so fucking painful. And I've had pain from crying, but it's usually really stopped up in a really bad headache. Well, I've got a headache, but it's like super dry. Like I've never experienced anything like this. Because like I feel like I don't know, like maybe it's part of the pressure on the planet or something. Like I have no idea. Yeah, like there's just the weirdest shit that happens that I don't even know how to explain. And then today I'm taking the dogs to the vet, and then I guess we'll have to go walk, and I feel like shit, man. It's like fuck, 2 nights of not sleeping, crying all day. The fucking allergies. Oh, but Deb, that stuff is working. You were right about the um, bentonite clay in the water. So it is doing good. So maybe that was that it needed to get the rest of the toxins out. So I'm gonna keep doing it. But because we're constant being flooded with toxins. So it's like you got to keep getting them out, and you don't want to block off your body's natural thing by taking like Pepto-Bismol or Modium or whatever. You don't even want to be taking allergy stuff. Like if your snot is trying to get something out, you don't want to stop your snot from trying to get it out. And so, they taught us and trained us to do all that stuff, but that's what's making us sicker. It's destroying us. It's destroying our bodies and stuff. It's aging us. And those are the shit that's aging us. But when everything turns and you turn your mind around, this is about you got to let go of these things in your mind. Like I said, they give you a diagnosis. It becomes a battlefield of you trying to keep yourself from believing. Like you go in and you get a fucking diagnosis of the C word. There's a lot of people are like, fuck, I better take the fucking chemo, man. What am I gonna do? I can't risk going natural. It's like people get very, the diagnosis leads to, there's an order to things. They want to keep you very focused on their stuff. So when you pull free and you start, having to believe in like, no, natural stuff in my mind, and telling myself, giving myself confirmation, telling myself I'm okay, telling myself I'm healing, picture it and in my mind, and all of those kinds of things, like putting order into your healing. Oh, what was that one too? Because it was I don't know. There's gonna be more and more stuff about this though. More and more about the healing. More and more about that they made up aging, and all these people who have been doing it are really just letting themselves. They're giving up on themselves and letting themselves become this old person. This concept of what an old person is. And so you got to change that, but you got to see your value. You got to see like that you have value. So anyways, but when you get yourself into this place of feeling whole in yourself and you're vibrating, then in that vibrating, that magnetism, you pull in people who meet that same vibration. So then that is why you don't want to be, not healed, and pulling in more people that are not healed so that you guys have to trigger each other and keep healing. You want to do your healing. To me, do your healing so that when the person comes in, you guys are good to go. Like you're not being triggered by each other. That it's more of a positive triggers. And so I don't know. I would think everything is leading to this period of time of meeting this person, but I haven't met him yet, and I don't know when I'm going to, and I don't know how it's going to go down or whatever. I don't think the universe would have been showing me and telling me this for fucking years now. If it was made up. I mean, they've had every opportunity. Like, there's plenty of times when I've said, like, I don't want this. This is not what I want to do. And, that it was like, well, too bad. You wanted to at some point. You signed up for this shit. And so, there was plenty of times when I was like, I don't want this. And then but what is destined is destined. What is meant to be is meant to be. And so, but you just got to go to the flow of when it happens, when the thing occurs, when that comes into your reality. But it is by your this magnetism too, is what you pull. And so that is why you want to put out like a positive one. But that is where, to me and this person are on the same wavelength. Like we kind of like, I think when we're around each other, we're just going to get each other. I don't even think that we're going to have to really speak in words all the time. I feel like that him and I will be able to speak just by thinking towards each other and looking at each other and stuff. And I think, I don't know, when we start seeing these relationships come that are really on this vibration of connection at this higher level, there's a lot of people went into union and stuff with their twin flames and stuff, but it was still at a point of triggering each other and learning and growing. So there's all different ones. There's a whole thing though of people who have been just working on themselves, and it will happen by a natural magnetic kind of thing. Like when this pole shift, I think, happens, it's going to flip everything around like that. And so the people who have been working on themselves, then they'll pull in these people, and that's where I think it's going to start being like this whole other level. where we're gonna be able to learn like a difference in a lot of things. Like there's gonna be a huge shift in our compatibility, in our love and relationships, in how you decide to choose a relationship. Because so many people, choose over, well, oh, well, he's got a good job. Well, he can provide for me. Well, he looks good. I mean, all these different things, instead of being with people who are on their wavelength. But so many people, when they're out there dating anyways, they're very toxic, and they are having people on their wavelength. It's just not what they think it is. So it's just more people trying to get other people to make them feel better or fix them or whatever. And we're all looking outside of ourselves, trying to get somebody to fix us, to make us feel better, to make us, to me, when I look back at it, I needed Dicky to tell me he loved me so that I could feel good about me. He needed me to tell him that I loved him. And it was a way we're at an impasse of, it was two insecure people or something. And so, yeah. And now, to me, I would not do that again. I would definitely. I wouldn't go like publicly like how I was then. Everybody who knew me knew who I loved. Like I wouldn't do that now. Now, it'll be a little more vague about it. but, but I know this person in my heart and in my soul. It's like there's been soul recognition. And they, like I've said, like when the souls are coming and visiting you in your dreams and stuff, you've got an attachment with these people. And so, and I don't know, it's just trippy. It's trippy. Like when I think about the beginning and then the ending, and even when I was looking at the one's picture, I was like, fuck, man, they look a lot alike. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how things play out in my own life. I'm very curious to see how all this plays out. That's what I'll tell you. And I don't know. We're still in this movement, this method of whatever's playing out is playing out, and we all have different things playing out in our lives. So anyways, we'll see. Everything we'll all see the truth soon, of all the different truths that are out there, and we all have our own personal truths, and we're all going to get to see our own personal truths. So that's, I'm looking forward to seeing my personal truth, and I feel like I'm ready to deal with whatever it is. Whatever it is, we're gonna come back out and be like, I don't think my personal truth is gonna come out that, I'm completely crazy and insane and don't listen to me. There's way too much confirmation I've had, especially over doing this for this many years now. There's a confirmation. So no matter how crazy as shit I say, I always get confirmation. So I know I'm not crazy. So anyways, but you got to remember what we're doing here is just learning how to love ourselves, love everyone, and how to have a loving day, because it's totally up to you. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.